What's happening, my ninjas? For some reason my front facing camera is not working right now, so blah. But it's a nice day out. I'm going to pick up my son. So that brings me to this week's discussion topic, episode, riding 2 up. Let's stop by here real quick, see what we got going on. I don't need a motorcycle, but I got a motorcycle and I like to look at motorcycles. They don't have much in the way of used bikes right now. This is it. Ugh. Ask about our Goldwing demo rides. No, thank you. Suzuki. So that's the SV650. Gromsicles. This is the CBR 1000 that I would love to wreck on. No, I'm just kidding. Dirty dirt bikes. This must be right here. This is what I'll be cruising on. Oh, look at this. It'll be perfect for washing a car. Let's get a car wash, boys. So on my blue bike, I didn't have a pillion, what do you call it, pylon. I didn't have a second seat on that one. I just had the, what you call it, seat cowl. But on the cruiser, we had the seat and we also had the sissy bar. So I could take people with that, on that, with no big issues, you know. That was a lot easier to manage, you know, people could just sit there and do their thing, lean in the back, and it was all good. But on this bike, I do have the rear seat, and I do quite often take mostly just my 2 older kids anywhere if I need to. And with it being such a beautiful day today, I figured, hey, why not, right? It's a little chilly, but it's manageable. Like it's like maybe a hoodie type temperature out right now. So yeah, I take some of my kids with me to places, and just some things that I've learned. One, probably the biggest thing about riding 2 up or having a passenger on your bike is they need to be educated on how to ride. You can't just let them sit on there and go. You've got to give them a little bit of a talk about what's going to happen. You know, let them know that they need to stay parallel or with the bike, not perpendicular, but they need to stay with the bike. So if you're leaning to the left, they need to stay with the lean of the bike. If you're leaning right, they need to stay with the lean of the bike. If they lean into it, it really throws things off. And my older boy, I'm getting wind, I know. My older boy is really good at riding. So my older boy, I guess oldest boy, does really well. He sits very well in the seat. He stays with the bike. He does try to anticipate the turns sometimes when he can tell they're coming, but he doesn't lean into them. He just lets his body kind of get ready for it. Another thing that he does, he's tall enough that he can reach around my body and put his hands on the tank, which really, he just started doing that one day, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, because if I have to slow down or stop suddenly, he doesn't bump into the back of my helmet. He braces himself on the tank, and that's really a lot of help. And if I happen to take off faster than he's ready for, then he can grab my chest with his hands if he needs to. See, he puts his hands down. But that doesn't happen too often, mostly because I try not to accelerate quickly with him. and I try not to make it scary for him. I think the only problem I have with him riding is his feet are really big. Like, he has the same size shoe as I do, and sometimes his toes hit my heels. That's a little annoying. But other than that, he rides really well. So you got to educate your rider, let him know what's going to be happening, or her, let him know what's going on. Also, I highly recommend that if you only have one helmet, give it to your passengers, because they have even less control over what's going on than you do. They're not only at the mercy of the other traffic, they're at the mercy of you. So if you make a mistake, they're going to pay the price. So make sure they're geared up at least as good, if not better, than you. I think that's very important. If you know you're going to be having a passenger, carry 2 helmets. I think that's important. So I really don't recommend riding 2 up until you're really comfortable with your bike. And by comfortable, I don't mean being able to ride it like you want to or like you stole it. I mean being able to ride it with smooth shifting and smooth acceleration, smooth braking, and smooth takeoff. Because you don't want to jerk your passenger around. You definitely don't want them to fall off the back, or even worse, have them panic and throw you around. That'd be even worse. Having ridden with a few people on the back of my bike, I know when I see people doing like races 2 up, that I find that very impressive, because the passenger has to do just as much, if not more work than the rider, the operator, because they've got to, the person operating the bike knows exactly what they're going to be doing and when they're going to do it, whereas the person on the back has to know, has to anticipate. And maybe they just ride so much that they know exactly how to do it and they ride the track. But man, I got a lot of admiration for them folks. That's basically, I used to take my wife out on a cruiser. She didn't much care for it because I didn't have, the shifting on that one's a bit different than the shifting on this one. So, I can shift quicker on this one, but that one you really have to work the controls to get that smooth shift. I mean, I guess you didn't have to work it. It was just, it's not like this one where you click, 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 That one you have to ease it in, ease it out. I mean, it was even jerky for me, just shifting on my own at times, just because I'm used to this one. But also on this one, I can shift myself. Now on this one, I can anticipate the shifts and brace for them when I need. So if you're going to ride 2 up, make sure they have the gear they need, make sure they have proper education, let them know. Maybe there's some sort of communication you can give them. If you're not on the headsets, you can tap their knee or something, or their hands, just to let them know what's going up. Maybe tap their left side if you're turning left, right side if you're turning right. Some sort of communication would work out really well. But you also need to be fully aware of where you are in your capabilities. I mean, you don't want to push yourself outside your own limits when it's just you, but you surely don't want to push yourself outside the limits of your limits when there's 2 of you. And the limits change, limits really change. So you got to be aware of how the bike's going to handle with 2 people. It's not going to stop as quickly. Your acceleration is going to you got a lot more weight on that rear wheel. How you hit bumps and how you take turns is all different. So I would recommend, if you're riding 2 up, do it with somebody who's ridden before, or at least ridden on the back of a bike before. But for the rest of you guys who've done this, hey, it's like whatever. It's like old school, old hat. One of my friends, we went to a bike night thing, and he only had one helmet, and so he took a girl out who wanted to ride, and he gave her his helmet, which I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool, except for your own helmet. And he took her out and got her up to speed and whatever, so it was kind of cool. I don't know whatever happened, nothing bad happened, but that's one of the examples of you got to make sure your passenger is safer than you are, because they have less control of what's going on. Anyway, hey, before I wrap this up, let's make sure we hit that subscribe button if you hadn't subscribed already. Like, share, comment. I love those comments. Keep those comments coming. I really like that dialogue we got going on. There it goes. Tell me how your day's going. Tell me if you're able to ride yet. I know a lot of people can't ride right now because they got bad weather. And here in Texas, the riding season goes from usually from about January until December. That's typically riding season. I mean, there's some days it's bad. You know, it's not Hawaii riding season by any means. No. So let me know how you guys are doing in your area. How's the weather where you're at? You out being able to ride? Shoot, this is one of the nicest days we've had in a while. The sun's out, temperature's good. It's been either cold or wet or cold and wet. None of that's any fun for me, as I've said before. So yeah, anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. I know I am. And we'll see you on the next episode.